What we have today is an example of, I think, one of the main reasons that men don't want to get married anymore. I did watch this video earlier, but I think that possibly we could see this girl could be making a point or two. So we're going to check this out and see, is the girl, does she have any kind of basis on the way she's thinking, or she's just blowing things out of proportion? Let's go ahead and check it out.
I have been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant. He's always present. Like, on paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women.
The way she talks is sometimes the reason I think most men are honestly afraid to get married. It's because you hear all the good parts about it. Like, yeah, you see, I have a good man. He's amazing. She said he's amazing like 5 different times, right? But still going to come and complain. And I think that sometimes women, they want these superstar, amazing guys when I don't think any guy's ever going to fit into their standard. But on the other hand, I will say this. I've heard a lot of chicks and a lot of people break up. You've seen it too, Cmarty. A lot of people break up after they've had kids. Now, do you think what she's saying so far, do you think what she's saying has any basis in reality, or she's just finding a reason to complain about something?
Little bit of both. A little bit of reality. When they have kids, the woman does take on a lot of responsibility when it's related to the kids. Now, what I don't understand is, of course, that's important, right? But what the man does, if you think about it, he's working probably. Most solid men taking on most of the bills, which means they're probably taking on more hours at work. They're doing overtime. They might do a side hustle. Is that not important? And a lot of women are like overlook that shit. They overlook the shit that men do. And a lot of times, the wife might be complaining about something. The wife might be a burden. And the man just keep that shit to himself. He's not going to complain. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit of it is in reality, but a lot of that shit is a little bit of delusion as well.
I'm glad you said that, bro. Women will make their complaints known far before a man ever does, because of course she's going to come on and say what he did, he doesn't do, but I'm pretty sure she's not a perfect spouse either. Yeah. And a man, as opposed to, will just, I was going to say suck that shit in, which is crazy. So,
pause.
Woo.
You still said it. Pause.
We going to bottle that up and not necessarily reveal how it is we're feeling. But I think that when you come to marriage, it's 2 different things. You have the man, as you alluded to, protect and provide, and provision of the children is normally on the woman. Right. But I have heard this too, bro. A lot of women, including my mother and some other people that I've talked to, my aunts and stuff, they have always said the problem was that men will have these kids and then they don't want to do anything with them. They want to still keep their same schedule of going to the gym. They want to make sure they have time for themselves, not realizing that parenting is a shared responsibility sometimes.
Agreed.
Especially if that man is not doing what he should be doing to make you a stay-at-home wife. It's not the 1950s anymore. So Thanks. I think she has a point with that.
I agree with that.
Alex, you got anything on that, or are you just observing right now?
I'm observing, but I was just going to say it can be a little bit of both.
Hit the top angle, please.
Sure thing. I was just saying it can be a little bit of both, because we're saying like he's overwhelmed. He has his side hustles going on. Having kids, managing the home is also a lot. So Absolutely. Maybe they're not seeing each other's sides, because it can be overwhelming on both sides. Like, y'all got to see each other's sides, and that's, other people come into play, your village comes into play, or whatever else you might need. So I think they can both be right in a sense. I know you're saying women probably say what they feel first, which is accurate, but I still think 2 things can be true.
Let's go and finish the video.
I had this amazing husband who on paper was great, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of us is that we marry these amazing men and we have amazing relationships, and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And that is exactly what happened to us. About 3 months after my 4th baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything in this house. Every night when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of this home and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do, right? Every woman has heard this. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I said, okay, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. That would make my life so much easier because when I've got the 4 kids running around and the baby crying, I can't be looking for their favorite water bottle in the dishwasher. I just need to know it's clean. And he said, yeah, of course. What? Yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets, and then I have to remind him again. And there was this one morning where I woke up, and I went to put something in the trash, and it was overflowing. And I went to get my son's water bottle, and it was in the dishwasher with all the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, what happened? Like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he doesn't see me. Because what he's done has now made me late for work. And he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the impact on me. And he doesn't see how every single thing in our home happens because I ask him to do it, or because I do it myself, or because I planned and organized it. The diaper bag is full because I filled it, right? I put the wipes in there. And I felt so frustrated. And I remember thinking, what's the point? What's the point of doing this with someone else? I might as well just do it alone. And it's not because my husband didn't love me or he did anything to me. And it's not because I didn't love him, but because I felt so taken advantage of in our relationship. And this dynamic, it doesn't happen by accident, right? It's not like my husband did it to me, but we've been raised in this society that tells men and women who they should be in marriages and what it looks like to be a good mom versus a good dad. And we know the bar for moms is way up here and the bar for dads is way down here. And we fell into these norms. We fell into these roles in our family, despite the fact that we never wanted to. And I'm lucky, and I say lucky because I have a partner who I know loves me and wants me to be happy and was willing and able to change. And so we did the work to figure out what equity looked like in our relationship. And I can tell you now, 3 years later, that we are happier than ever. Our kids are thriving. Our home runs like a well-oiled machine. And that took a lot of work. I want to say it took like 18 months to get there. And it was well worth it. But it is not uncommon. And so if your wife is coming to you and she's saying, I'm burnt out by the mental load and I need you to do more, she's not just saying that because she wants you to do more chores. She's saying that because truly it can hurt your relationship. It can ruin your marriage if you do not participate in an equitable way in your home. And so what does that look like? What does it look like to change these dynamics? Well, we need to really assess in our homes what the work looks like. Because in most homes, the data supports this, women do a disproportionate amount of the work. They just do. They do more of the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and the childcare while also working full time. And men have more time for things like their hobbies, like golf, for example, or just working out, running a marathon, right? And so we need to have hard conversations about what our time looks like, what our labor in the home looks like, what is invisible labor. We have to talk about these things. And when we don't, the alternative is that you no longer have a marriage, or you don't have a happy one at least. And so I share this story because I don't think I'm alone in this experience. And I want people to know that there's hope and that if you have a willing and able partner, you can change this. You can absolutely change this dynamic.
She had a couple things in there that I agree with, but I'm going to start with the ones that I don't disagree with. Well, I don't agree with. Women don't know what makes them happy or what really turns them on in a relationship. And also when a woman's complaining about something, she's complaining about an underlying issue and not necessarily what she's complaining about on the surface level. Like, for example, she says she's the project manager for her home. On the surface level, that would mean a man would think that she's like, okay, help me out around the house more. No, the way the superior man talks about that, she's complaining about the fact that she doesn't feel safe under your leadership. So I promise you that if there's something else that he's not doing that's making her feel unsafe, whether he's not providing for the household, whether he's not keeping his word, it's something else under there that she doesn't really even know what it is. That's why when I say these things like marriage counseling and going to, what's the people called? Fucking shrinks and shit, it's not going to really help you out because women don't really know what it is. Like they'll say it's a problem, but there's really an underlying issue that she has no idea about. And if you go in there, she's saying, hey, do more chores. You go do more chores, and then 3 or 4 months go by and the relationship's not getting better. And you're thinking it's because I did what she said, but again, you did what she said, but that's not what she wanted. The real problem is leadership, and you're not leading your home. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, I think it is another issue. And one thing with a lot of women, which is crazy to me, right? Women, they value their careers. They love their careers, right? They worked hard to get there. But at the same time, you complaining about it. I think that was her issue because she mentioned being late to work. And work, I'm thinking work could be stressing her along with all the house shit. But you know, when you have kids and you got all these things to pay for, you know, the woman in a lot of marriages still has to work. But I think that might be the underlying issue there. I think work is stressing her out along with everything. Now, the fellas, if you tell your wife you're going to put the dishes away and take the trash out, you
just do it.
You got to do it, bro. If that's y'all agreement, you got to stay on your side of the agreement. It is. I mean, if she says she's going to take care of the kids and get them ready in the morning, and you ain't got to get ready for get the kids ready in the morning. All you got to do is wake up and get ready for work. All you got to do is get yourself ready. That's only fair. So he is definitely fucking up. And that little shit right there, it might not seem like a big deal to the man, but to the women, that's it.
You made a point too. It's like she's stressed about something else, and this is where a lot of people mess up, bro. They treat marriage like a damn Netflix movie, a Disney movie.
Facts.
Without really having these tough conversations. I guarantee you that people have these kids. They don't say, okay, what does parenting look like to you?
Yep.
Who's responsible for the house, the majority of the housework? Who's going to who's going to be bringing the money home for the bills? Who's going to pick up the kids from this day?
Yep.
And we split up, what's going to happen? A lot of this stuff is just basic conversations. People just go ahead, they fuck around, and then they get to this point, and they're like, damn, why is my life messed up?
Facts.
Because you never had these tough conversations.
I was talking to this girl the other day about how she mentioned treating relationships like a business decision. And I'm like, it is a business decision.
It is.
You feel me? If you treat it like a business, right? You have your responsibilities, this and this, make sure this runs efficiently, right? That's probably going to make for a better relationship. But a lot of people they haven't established like who's supposed to do what's expected from this person, what's expected from this person. A lot of people, communication is trash. So what it sounds like is she actually has good communication. Again, we don't know the husband's side of the story, right? It sounds like she got good communication and he just wasn't following through on his end of the deal.
I will say the communication does sound good. Like from what she's saying, like you said, there's two sides to every story.
Of course.
But even if it's good communication, if it's after the fact, it's still too late. My question is, did you have this conversation with him before you married him or gave him kids?
So what you saying is it's possible she moved the goalpost or switched up.
Not even move the goalpost, but if you and I are having a problem, what do they say? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right?
Right.
If I have a conversation with you, laying out expectations before, and then we get to the argument, and I've never told you what my expectations were.
Yeah.
If I communicate that good or not, it's irrelevant because I never laid out my expectations to you.
Right.
My question is, did you actually, before y'all had kids and got married, did you say, hey, when we have kids, I expect to do the majority of the work, but I want you to do X, Y, and Z? Did you say that before this?
Probably not.
I would dollars to donuts. I think she probably didn't.
Yeah. And when you think about it, this is more of like a man thing. But that doesn't mean all men do it.
Sure.
Men we'll tend to think of worst case scenario, right? Worst case scenario, this. Let me prepare for this. Women don't think like that. So I think in that case, both of them weren't ironing that shit out in the, you know what I'm saying, what's going to happen in the future or what it's going to look like. So that's probably where the friction was caused too.
But when you work a regular 9-to-5 job, especially in the government, they give you what's called a performance plan. So you have an evaluation period of half years and then the end of the year, right? Mm-hmm. And then we compare your accomplishments compared to what you were supposed to do in your performance plan.
Right.
I think that marriage relationship should be the same exact thing. I lay out my expectations. We reevaluate 6 months, 12 years, whatever the year. Did you get your side of the performance plan met? Did I get my side met? And that could just be a simple conversation.
Yep.
But most people aren't doing that. And I would even, Alex, feel free to check me if I'm wrong on this. I'm not saying that I'm perfect.
Get him.
So I'm not. But when I first, for example, I gave Alex the key to my house, right? And I said that here, Alex, here's the key to my house. But if you do X, Y, and Z, here are the parameters you have in this key. If you do X, Y, and Z, you're out. If you don't do this, you're out. And I think that I couldn't give her the key and then not tell her what I expected. And then she fuck up and then communicate after the fact like, oh, yeah, well, I want you to do X. I want you to do this. No, you lay out your stuff at the front, give the person a chance to meet or fill your expectations, and then you go on. What are you going to say, Alex?
Yeah, I was gonna say no. We pretty much did that. Expectations / boundaries. But when it comes to this couple and situation, I agree with what y'all are saying. The fact that maybe even if it was after the fact, she still had to ask him and mention it like numerous amount of times, just like making her not feel seen. But I think more of the issue is she's raising 4 kids by herself. I think that's more of the issue. That's overwhelming in itself to have 4 kids with multiple ages. Even 2 kids is a lot, as well as working a full-time job. So yes, he's working a full-time job, but she's also working a full-time job and taking care of the kids basically by herself is what it seems as though she is saying. So I feel as though, why are you making that face?
No, I'm just really thinking out loud. Go ahead.
That I feel as though that is where majority of the overwhelmingness is coming, not from the job, but from the kids. Like, dang, I can at least wake up. I don't have you doing anything with the kids. You don't even know what goes in the kids' backpacks. There's no involvement from the father. I'm raising 4. I'm a single mom, but I have somebody in my space. That would be frustrating to me as well. I get the communication part of it. Maybe that's not something they communicated, but the feelings are still there. And even though she did ask, when she did ask, he didn't do it. She said it again, didn't do it. I would be pissed too. I wouldn't feel like I was seen by my husband or my man or whatever the case may be.
Here's my question though, from Jump Street. These problems don't fall out of the sky.
Absolutely.
You knew that when you gave him the first kid, and honestly, probably way before that this man does not keep his word. This man, you had 1 kid with him, he probably wasn't involved then. So my question is, why do you go to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th kid? And people are going to say that I'm victim blaming or whatever you want to call it, but to a certain extent I am. Because my favorite line, there are no victims, they're just volunteers. The man was doing that shit the whole time.
So do you think he was doing this before the marriage?
Honestly, bro, yes. And
maybe not as big of flags.
Of course, bro. Yeah. But like, bro, I have talked to countless women, bro. This includes women that I deal with, girlfriends, family members, cousins, friends, the whole 9. Every single time they get into a situation with a man, they're always just like, I didn't see it coming. And then I'll kind of go back and peel that onion back and get into the history of it. I'm like, well, if you would have paid attention to this, you'd have saw it coming a long time ago. People are not as smart and dudes are not as manipulative as women will make them out to be.
Yeah.
They just ignore red flags and then they want to always see the good and bad guys, but never see the good and good guys. Different conversation, but I think Shorty, she definitely has made some points, and I can see that she does have a certain level of articulation, and she does good at kind of communicating, at least online. But I would be interested to see that man's side of the story and what she's not fulfilling on her end, because it's something there as well.
Well, look at.
I feel like she's probably not fulfilling something just due to everything she has going on. Not saying that's the reason,
but
I'm saying she's gonna lack somewhere.
Yeah, when that trash ain't get taken out, she probably turned him down for some buns. He said, "Fuck it."
That's my point.
Yeah, and I agree with that, guys. But see that 2 wrongs,
I'm not taking it out me.
2 wrongs don't make a right. And what I understand is that women's roles are negotiable. While a man's roles are like it has to happen. And that's what I've always don't like about women, because I can never not pay a bill or do something that I need to be done for you. But you can decide if you want to screw me or if you want to suck some dick. Hate to be that damn vulgar right now, but it's true.
Please.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. You ain't doing what you got to do. Don't expect me to do what I got to do.
Well, you know you gotta do what you gotta do, bro.
But I'm in that case, I'm still going. That's the bills got to get paid, but that's a non-negotiable. But dang, you're not giving buns up. That's what got you the ring, right? I was paying for the dates and shit. That's what made you want to take the ring from me. But I ain't, it don't work both ways. What kind of bullshit is that? Then you giving your side of the story. You look at Megan Thee Stallion and the Kelsey situation. Tory Lanez ain't say a word. So we got to hear the husband side of the story.
I thought you was gonna say like DDG and Halle.
That too.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, bro. That video had like 1.3 million likes, I think.
Which one are you talking about?
The one we just watched.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. Women was in the comments eating that shit up.
Bro, they're always going to run to the defense of the woman. And
it's crazy.
There's always two sides, but the man never gets his side out there. Now, to recap, I will give Shorty credit. She did do a really good job of articulating herself. I think she does seem to have more of a healthy communication pattern. And there does seem to be at least a small degree of respect for her man there. I won't say all the way, because if you was a real G, you wouldn't have a woman on the internet talking like this in the first place. But different conversation. She seems to really love him. But that's a very dangerous place to be as a man when your girl start doing stuff like that, because it only goes all downhill from there. And I will also say that once the problem is normally that big, there's normally not really a way to fix it after a while. It's only going to get worse, and worse. If she's comfortable already coming online having this conversation, I can promise you it's 10 times worse behind the scenes.
I agree, but I'll commend her on not leaving. You got 4 kids.
Cmarty.
Hopefully, hold on. I was just gonna say, all I was gonna say was I'm assuming they worked it out. Now it still could be an ugly marriage. A lot of people stay together just for the public opinion. They stay together just so people don't talk about them. They stay together for finances because she worked too. So maybe she ain't want to lose some of her shit. Even though,
she's not a bad looking chick. I go back to the video, Alex. I don't think she was bad. Like she's cutish, I mean, she's not bad looking. But my question I was going to ask, she was like, where's she gonna go?
I was actually shocked when she said they had been married for like 16 years at that point. Because how old is she?
She looks like she's probably maybe late 30s, early 40s.
I would give it 40s.
But she white though. She
that's
might be 34, but I mean, maybe not 34. That's crazy.
She's not a bad looking girl.
She might be like 37. I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, we're gonna move on.